It was supposed to be just another long-range survey. Sector E72. Uninhabited, quiet, cold, until it wasn't. I'm Commander Elias Rourke, Deep Space Recon for the Unified Terran Command. 2 weeks ago, our long-range telescope array picked up something strange, a ship, drifting near the edge of the Gliese system. Not broadcasting, no ID, no signal, just floating. But that's not what alarmed us. What alarmed us was the design. The hull was made of titanium graphene alloy, a type of armor we only started using 200 years ago, but carbon dating the exposed metal came back with something impossible. 100 years old. The math didn't work. Humanity wasn't even interstellar back then. We didn't have warp drives, didn't have colonization tech, and yet, there it was. Fully intact. We dispatched a science frigate, the venture-class Odysseus, to intercept. 6 crew members, all highly trained. They approached the ship slowly. No response. But as soon as they locked onto it with the docking clamps, the lights came on. Every corridor, every panel, flickering to life like something waiting had just opened its eyes. And then it sent a signal. Not to us. To something else. But we couldn't trace it, because it didn't transmit through any known spectrum. It pulsed into the vacuum like a frequency the void itself could hear, and one phrase appeared on every terminal of the Odysseus. Reclamation begins. They entered anyway, against orders, and then the feed went dark. No sound, no visuals. But we kept receiving something, a heartbeat, not from the Odysseus, not from the old ship, from both. Synchronized. We thought it was derelict, empty, cold, just an artifact from a future that shouldn't exist. But the moment the crew stepped inside, it became clear. This ship had been waiting. Commander Sora Lin, Lieutenant Dreykov, and Science Officer Mari Chen were the first to board. Their suits streamed biometric data, video, ambient audio. At first, silence, no bodies, no signs of damage, just corridors stretching out in perfect symmetry, untouched by time. The walls were made of a material we couldn't identify. It looked like metal, but it breathed slightly under. Pressure. Every step echoed too long, every corner was too sharp, and then they reached the core, a circular chamber, almost cathedral-like. In the center, a seat, not a captain's chair, not a pilot station, a throne made of some dark, glassy substance that shimmered like it was wet, even though the air was dry, and here's where it gets worse. The seat was already warm, and on the wall behind it, a mural, painted in blood red and obsidian black. It showed Earth, recognizable, labeled, marked, but in the background, a fleet. Dozens of ships like the one they were inside, and above it all, a symbol. Not military, not alien Terran, but different. Old Commander Lin activated a scan. The ship didn't like that. The lights dimmed. The temperature dropped by 30 degrees instantly, and the walls began to shift. Not open. Shift, like the ship was reconfiguring itself around them. Dreykov said the words none of us wanted to hear. I think it's mapping us, it's adjusting to fit us. Then their comms cut, but they didn't go silent. No, we still heard breathing. Rhythmic. Synced, like they were still alive, just not alone in their own heads anymore. Then came the first transmission. Encrypted. Fragmented. A mixture of machine. Code and voice, not synthetic, not alien, human. Sora Lin clearance accepted. Reintegration sequence in progress. Welcome back. Welcome it back. Commander Lin had never seen this ship before. None of them had. And yet, it knew her. Knew her name. Her ID. Her neural signature. We ran a full backtrace on her service file. Nothing unusual, except for one redacted file. A file tied to Project Helix, a failed Terran biointegration experiment from 400 years ago. The record said everyone involved in the program was dead, but the ship didn't agree. The hallway lights began shifting. Blue, violet, crimson, each color pulse brought new shapes to the walls. More cables. More nodes The corridor became organic, like the ship was growing. Then Dreykov screamed, not through his mic, through our speakers, every speaker, even the ones that weren't connected to the live feed, and his voice was layered. One voice said, "She was the last key." The other said, "You brought her home." I tried to override the boarding command, failed. Tried to trigger evacuation, failed. The ship had taken over the Odysseus. Every system, every connection. The two vessels were now one, pulsing, thinking, becoming, and... It's still broadcasting one phrase over and over. Reclamation is incomplete. We've lost visual, we've lost comms, but not the signal. That won't stop. It's transmitting across every frequency, ancient, encrypted, and evolving. Each pulse isn't just data, it's a memory. The ship isn't sending messages, it's sharing what it remembers, and what it remembers is horrifying. We've managed to decode fragments from the last few signal loops. They paint a picture that doesn't match any known Terran history. This ship, now codenamed Helios 917, was part of a secret initiative called Project Divide. It was launched 7 centuries ago under an early global government during the final stages of what we now call the techno-biological war, a conflict that supposedly never reached space. But that was a lie. The purpose of Project Divide. To isolate experimental minds, Helios 917 wasn't a ship. It was a carrier of intellects, enhanced humans, post-organic hybrids, minds too unstable or too advanced to live among the rest of us. Their thoughts were dangerous. Their very existence, infectious, they were sealed into the ship, placed in neural stasis. Never meant to wake, never meant to return, and yet, here we are. What triggered Helios 917's awakening is still unclear. Some say it was the Frank Cale telescope's deep signal array. Some believe it was something cosmic, a pulse from a dead star. Others think the ship simply waited for us to reach the right frequency of thought. But whatever the reason, it's awake now, and it remembers everything. Inside its core, we found a stasis vault. Pods .17 are still sealed, but 2 are empty. One of them is labeled Sora Lin. I checked the DNA logs. It matches Commander Sora Lin 99.97%. That's impossible. She was born less than 40 years ago, graduated from the Unified Academy in New Tokyo. But Helios recognizes her. She's not a descendant. She's a fragment, a genetic imprint, a splintered consciousness that survived. She was always meant to return, and the ship knew. When she entered the command chamber, she didn't scream, she didn't panic. She smiled as if she had finally come home. We tried to intervene, triggered a breach override, fired thrusters to break orbit. Helios responded, not by attacking, by growing. The outer hull split into fractal panels, dark matter scaffolding unfolded like wings, and then it spoke, not through the comms, through us. Every crew member began to mutter the same phrase in sync. Reclamation incomplete, memory archived. Her returning to origin point. Then the nav system reoriented. Target, Earth.ETA 27 days. We don't know what will happen when it gets here, but the data recovered from its last jump log. The final line burned into its core directory says this: Earth is the seed, Helios is the bloom. I don't know what that means, but I don't think this ship is coming back to reunite. I think it's coming back to finish what it started. The ship is coming, and Earth knows. The first signals from Helios 917 reached our military satellites 3 days ago. At first they were dismissed. Just another ghost echo, scrambled pulses bouncing from the outer belt. But then they repeated, and repeated again, each cycle more structured, each pattern clearer. The signal was not just a warning, it was a language, not spoken, not even transmitted in the way we understand communication. It was built from mathematics, from DNA patterns, from sound frequencies only detectable in the emotional range of the human brain. It spoke in intention, and it said, I'm coming home. Every agency on Earth is now watching it. Quietly, secretly. No press releases, no alerts, just movement, classified. Airlifts, emergency briefings, space telescopes going offline without notice. They're not trying to warn us, they're trying to contain panic, but they can't contain what's already begun. I've intercepted reports. Internal transmissions from underground facilities, places not even listed on national registries. The tone is always the same. Helios is not just returning, it's reactivating what's already here. That's the part no one wants to say out loud. This ship isn't foreign, it's familiar, built from us, for us, with us. And now it's coming back to wake up the rest. Since the signal began pulsing in Earth's atmosphere, strange things have been happening. Unexplainable anomalies in the ionosphere, migratory animals changing course mid-season, people, regular civilians, reporting vivid dreams of a corridor bathed in soft violet light, leading to a pulsing black throne. The same dream. All over the planet. Same details. Same timing. It's not a dream, it's an invitation. And every time someone sees it, they change, just a little. Their behavior shifts, their speech slows. Their blood tests start coming back with irregular neural signatures. No one knows how to stop. And maybe that's the point. Because Helios isn't a ship, it's a process. A final phase of something that started centuries ago and was buried deep. In the records, in our genes, in history itself. Earth isn't being invaded. Earth is being reclaimed. It crossed Neptune's orbit last night. The official projections estimated it would take another 9 days to reach inner orbit, but the ship doesn't move through space like we do. It doesn't follow inertia. It doesn't burn fuel. It folds space around itself, like it's rewriting the rules of distance. Helios 9117 is accelerating, not physically but conceptually. The closer it gets to Earth, the more we can feel it, in our signals, in our power grids, in our sleep. It's not approaching. It's arriving and we're not ready, or maybe we were never supposed to be. The Global Council met 12 hours ago. I know because I intercepted fragments of the closed feed. You could hear it in their voices. They're no longer discussing whether to stop it. They're discussing what to offer it. They know the truth. The ship doesn't want war. It doesn't want conquest. It wants resonance, synchronization. Across every continent, the signs are escalating. Children are humming the signal in their sleep. People with no connection to one another are drawing the same spiral pattern in condensation, in sand, in blood. Digital assistants are responding to questions no one asked. Dead phones light up and say one word: welcome. Our scientist in Argentina uploaded a sequence of coordinates to a global forum. She said it came to her in a dream. Within 5 minutes, the post was removed and her account deleted, but I saw it before it vanished. The coordinates pointed to a deep tectonic plate beneath the Pacific, a location that perfectly matches seismic anomalies detected over the last 24 hours. Something's waking up down there. Something that matches the design of Helios. The ship isn't just returning to Earth, it's returning to itself. Because the Earth we know, the cities, the oceans, the history we teach, it's all built on top of a lie. This planet is not the beginning of the story. It's the end of something older. We've built our world on the shell of something we couldn't see. And now it's emerging. The people. At the top, no, and they've already chosen sides. The global defense grid has been disabled. Not hacked. Turned off. Why? Because they think resistance will trigger a response. They think if we let Helios arrive, we'll survive. Not as what we are, but as what it needs us to become. I'm writing this from a secure uplink buried under 3 kilometers of ice. It won't matter. I can feel the signal in my fingertips now. My thoughts aren't mine anymore. They're shared like a collective thought pool, like we're all slowly sinking into one voice, the voice of something older than language. If you're reading this, and you still feel alone, that means it hasn't found you yet, but it will, because it's not just coming. It's here. It didn't land. It didn't fire weapons. It simply stopped, above the equator, geostationary, silent. Helios 917 took position, like it had done it before, as if this was not the first return, just the first time we remembered. The sky didn't change, the air didn't burn, but the world folded. Not physically, not instantly, but you could feel it in the spaces between moments. People began to forget things, not facts, selves. Names became distant, faces blurred. Families stood in the same room and spoke like strangers. And in that silence, the world became still. No war, no riots, no last stand, just alignment. It started with the children. They looked at the ship with awe, not fear. Some raised their hands, as if recognizing something long buried inside them. They began to hum, low, harmonious, in perfect frequency with the ship's signal. Then, the oceans responded. Tides rose not violently, but with rhythm. The planet was sinking. We realized then this wasn't an invasion. It was a return to blueprint, a reactivation of the original program. Earth, the prison. Earth, the key. Earth, the womb. Helios 9-1 wasn't the anomaly. We were. The moment we became conscious of it, it resumed its function. A soft pulse emitted from the ship, not a weapon. A code, invisible, inescapable. Across the globe, everything connected to a network. Power grids, satellites, implants, cameras, everything lit up and then shut off. And in that stillness, I finally understood. We weren't the architects of our future. We were the bridge, the delivery system, the message. A soft voice echoed in my mind, not like sound, like truth being reinserted, reclamation complete, memory restored, core stabilized. You are part of us now. I looked in the mirror, and for the first time I didn't recognize the face, but I understood it. End of transmission.